show that we like to call In the Loop with Bella, which is going to be hosted by my beautiful friend that you're seeing on the other side, Cheldin, who cannot keep it together.
I can't. I'm so excited.
Cheldin and myself, and moderated or attempted to be moderated by Jennifer DeSillis, Bella's publisher. Hi, Jennifer. Where are you? I can't see you.
I can see her.
You don't see me? Why? What the? You don't see me?
Oh, there you go.
It's her first time on Zoom. Vanessa's first time.
She's learning how to use Zoom. It's
this exactly. I am. And the idea of the show really just came because for the past few weeks, I mean, we met last year.
Yeah.
And as a way to keep our sanity, we've kept in touch.
Right.
We've kept in touch. And the reality is that every time that we come together, we just have the best conversations, and we're talking about real topics and real issues. But Cheldin, if you have never met Cheldin, you should go follow Cheldin on This Is It TV and just really submerge yourself in her energy, because that's what Bella is all about, really putting out and connecting you to resources that uplift you and help you live your best life. And Cheldin's energy, positivity, inspiration is just something that we should all be following and be connected to. So I am just as grateful to have her here, as I'm sure she is, that I asked her to be on, because hello. Because hello, let's be real. This is
lovely.
This is a win-win situation here.
Yes.
And we are going to make we're going to attempt to keep this into a timely fashion, but the idea is to really talk about trending topics and to give our opinions about these issues that not necessarily are addressed in the media world without sugarcoating it. Like, let's just call it what it is, right? We're gonna keep it very real, like I know Cheldin does, and as you have learned, we do here at Bella as well. And Jen is going to hold up a little stop and go sign to keep the conversation flowing.
What is the time limit I'm giving you guys?
What is happening?
I know you'll just talk, so I need to get in there.
She's going to try to help us keep it together. We cannot make any promises. That's all I will say. But we will attempt to keep it together.
My sign's going to be out of batteries by the end of this.
As any gracious host will do, I'm going to let you have first dibs on today's on one of the first topics, Cheldin. So go ahead. What have you got for us today?
I would like to talk about, which I don't necessarily know if it's trending, but I watched something in particular. I just want to get your opinion, because being in media, I want to get your opinion on the overshare. Those that overshare and those that, and not because people at this point, right? We're in quarantine. We're in it if we're being timely. We're in quarantine. We are finding our communities and our ability to communicate through our screens, through our devices, through what we're watching, talking about what we're watching. Is there such a thing, in your opinion, as the overshare?
Yes. How? Yes, but, and I'll say but because I've actually been asked this question in the past many times, because I have tended to overshare moment situations throughout my life where I had to be cordially asked by my husband to stop.
Cordially, is that how it went? Cordially.
Well, I'm gonna keep cordially, and it was literally, Vanessa, just fucking stop, just stop. And I don't want my pictures out there. I don't want So and it took me, and it wasn't until that moment where I really had to begin to think about not just him, but also my children. Like, do my children want to be in these images or whatever or whatnot? But to your point of oversharing, I think it really depends on your audience, number one. And I think that's something that from a marketing and media standpoint, a lot of people miss the mark when they're not speaking to their audience directly. You know, I started in this industry as a blogger. I never wanted to be called a mommy blogger just because I never identified with the word mommy. Like, it made me cringe. Like, ooh, I'm one. I'm a mom. No, I'm not a mommy. I'm a mom. I'm a mother. I'm a mom. Yeah, and a lot of it had to do with me dealing with postpartum depression and, you know, sharing and going there with those topics. And then when I began to address other things that had happened in my life, I guess to the point of the answer is there's a very fine line that you have to respect, right? When it comes to because nobody needs to see like the drool. Nobody needs to see it. Nobody needs to see it. Nobody needs to know every single time you walk into a coffee shop that you got the coffee. There's just things that you don't have to share. If it's relevant to your audience, to what you're doing, 100%. What are your thoughts?
Yes.
Cheldin?
I think it's interesting because now, you know, for us in media, right? Yeah. We overshare because there's an expectation that our audience needs and wants this information, right? Correct. The interesting thing about individuals now is that they have been themselves are now mediums, right? Regardless of whether or not they coin themselves an influencer or not, they have some sense of influence. And so whether you got 2 followers or you got 2 million followers, I think that it's an interesting thing, regardless of what you're saying, to be responsible for your voice. And so I think a lot of people don't understand, whether they're oversharing or just sharing one thing, the responsibility of what it is, in fact, they are sharing.
I'm laughing because I've said to many of people over the past few years, just because it says live doesn't mean that you have to press it. Like, does not mean you have to press that live button.
Use it.
No. I was watching a woman last week who and that's another thing, right? Yeah. Facebook friends are not real friends, people. Like, let's.
Right. I think it's just right.
They're connections. They're people that you have met at an event or have connected through somebody else. These are not like the friends that you spill your guts out to when you're having a bad day. So for that reason, it's like when a guest comes into your house, you don't walk around in your underwear, right? Yeah. So
that's my love. Yes.
You don't.
Talk to me. This is I mean.
So 100%. I was, you don't walk around in your underwear. You actually spruce up a bit, clean up the house a little. You clean up the joint a little bit.
Clean your house.
Put something on that is presentable, whatever. You just show right to save face, and you just act accordingly. And the topic that I actually was bringing to our In the Loop today had to do with cancel culture, because I think that it's something that is trending and buzzing, and we keep talking about it. But it's definitely a segue into what you're discussing, because we are living in this very digital world where we are observing, watching, we have the time, right? So we are on our screens more, we are on our computers more, connecting, engaging in social media more than we have been. However, we've forgotten that there's a person on the other side of that screen. There's an actual living, and I'm not, dismissing the trolls. Like, even just yesterday was my birthday, and I had literally trolls, trolling the Bella page. Thank you, Jen, for that. I think and my thing is, own up to what you write, own up to what you say. I'm not one to go back and delete or whatever. If you said it, own it, because we even had this conversation with a podcast guest the other day where I 99% believe, 99% of the time believe that you would never say those things to someone in person. You would never do that in person. Never. You would never share what you're sharing in front of, you would never do it.
You would never.
So because there's a screen, now you think you can? And
like walking down the street with no clothes on? Like, you would never do that.
No.
You would never walk up
Are you
to
the naked cowboy? Are you the naked cowboy in New York? Unless you make a living out of it.
But here's again with the living. There are consequences to your action. If it is consistent with the brand in which you have chosen to create, if you want to be seen as wild and reckless, because there's a market for wild and reckless, but don't be upset if people see you as wild and reckless when you are in fact wild and reckless. Like, you need to be responsible for your voice.
I had a friend, and I'm sorry, I had a friend from high school, and this is in the Dominican Republic, post something about they just elected a new president, and he posted something about where he stood politically. And here's the thing, and I'm not going to get into politics because we don't do that here we do get into social issues, which are completely different. But one cannot go without the other. Let's be very clear. Like we are lying if we don't say that politics don't affect social issues and vice versa. However, he went on a tangent on social media about, a post about his candidate and who he preferred. And then people were questioning and holding him accountable because he was bashing a company that he had done business for. Exactly. So to my point, when it finally arrived in my inbox, right? I said, okay, so as a business owner, I can understand where you have to have some sort of line, right, in the sand drawn. Sure. When it comes to social issues, though, when it comes to human rights issues, social issues, I have no reservation. I'll jump in and say something. However, if you said it and you shared it and you posted it, and now people are holding you accountable for it, you can't get upset. You can't get upset.
And I think that it is just the art of self-control. So if you just having some sense of self-control, and it is a choice. Mark Zuckerberg has yet to call me and say, Cheldin, you must post today. He has yet to tell me that I have to do this, right? And the responsibility and the onus
100%. It lies in you. And then for you to then blame social media as the culprit, it's like nobody's putting a gun to your head to use it. Nobody's forcing you to do it. Nobody's forcing you to post it. And also know, because this happened to us last week, that there will be a screenshot taken of what you shared, and that will live on. That will live. That will live. That, like, yes, you did say it. Oh, yes, you did, because I have it.
But it's the truth. And I think that policing yourself in this way, I think is important. So you can say whatever you want. I teach 100%. Personal branding. I say this to my students. I teach at Temple University in Philly, shout out. I teach this to my students. I say, you can be whatever you want. There is a market for everything. But if you want to work on Wall Street, good, bad, or indifferent, and they're upset that you're twerking on a Tuesday, find a job that equates. Find something.
I have no issue with you twerking on a Tuesday.
Right.
Come and work at. I was gonna say, work at Bella. We have no issue with you twerking on a Tuesday.
Find a place where your voice makes sense. You can't be upset. And I think that in the nature of this, because we're in crazy times, and I've been very blatant about not getting involved in conversations that I was not prepared to be involved in. I share joy as a living, as a being. That's what I do. And so I've made a conscious choice not to participate in conversations that could affect not only me personally, but the livelihoods of people who work for me, my business, etc. Yeah. But there are things that I will take the consequence for, 100%. Because I understood now that I was participating by not participating. So that is now my space, because I wasn't talking, I'm not looking to be combative, because again, there's a consequence to that. I'm not looking to pick fights, because there's a consequence to that, but I'm going to use my voice in the most responsible way, and I will gladly overshare joy in that way in order to make sure that I'm part of conversations that I can manage the consequence for. And I think that people don't understand that. I don't think people...
Well, I 100% agree with you on that. And I also think that, you know, to your point about being, you know, when you're not responding, when you're not engaging, it is also a response. Like silence is definitely an answer to any situation.
Right.
If you don't believe if you're married, try that out on your spouse when you're fighting.
Right. Nothing's
See what
wrong.
that.
Nothing's wrong.
I'm fine.
If I say it 3 times in a row, I'm just telling you that somebody needs to call a paramedic because it's not okay. Right? I'm fine. By the time I get to the third fine, things are not fine. Nothing's fine.
Oh my God. But that is that's the thing, you know. We have to. I think we're in a moment in time where, you know, the whole use of like being kosher or being PC, like it's no longer. It's not that it's no longer allowed. It's just that it is a part of the problem because I firmly believe that in social issues specifically, human rights issues specifically, there is no gray area. Like there is not there. You're not kind of inhumane. You know, you're not kind of racist. You're not kind of that we're not negotiating any of those things. So you know, and I think that, you know, with this whole racial divide that we are, which by the way, if you're tuning in right now and you think this just happened, no.
Hello. No, you just showed up.
You know, this has been happening for years, but welcome to the conversation, and
happy to have you.
But that's, you know, and we're trying to be funny here, but the reality is that once you have someone who wants to engage in the conversation, receive them with open arms and be willing to have the conversation, because that in itself shows that there is a willingness there to learn, to be receptive, to understand, because that's, you know, we're all trying to prove each other wrong. Going back to couples therapy a few years back, if there's one thing that my therapist taught us, that there's actually a way to fight effectively and productively, and you can totally have debates and conversations and differences if you do it respectfully. Like, I have an issue with anyone, even when we're debating social political topics, because I do it on my personal social media. I'll post a topic that I'm very passionate about. Even this morning, I have a huge issue with children in detention centers, and that I have a stance on that. I'm an immigrant myself. I'm Hispanic, and that to me is a non-debatable topic. Children should not be in detention centers because of the immigration status that their parents are in. There has to be a better way to fix that. To that end, I have to be responsible for the comments that have come, the sharing. I had someone immediately jump in and share a picture that, but that picture's fake. Okay, but you're more worried about the picture being fake than the issue itself.
Than the issue.
That's my issue. Do not mix the two. I can understand where the picture could be misleading. However, the issue, and what I did was I tweaked the picture and I cut out the picture, and I said it still doesn't take the issue away. There are still children in detention centers. So if the picture triggered you, I'll take the picture away.
It's ultimately about that particular scenario. In all those scenarios, the justification is because people are now uncomfortable, right? You're uncomfortable. And when I said before about not being in the conversation is also part of the problem, because I have allowed, as an African-American woman, also an immigrant, I'm from Sierra Leone, West Africa. That's where I was born. You know, my lovely, lovely Africans in all their glory and the loudness that I am, I embrace. But the truth is I've chosen not to participate. So in order to make you more comfortable in the store, in order to move me forward and make it more comfortable for everyone around me, those photos make you uncomfortable. You need for those photos to go away. So you don't deal with the scenario. You need to believe that Cheldin has never been suppressed, oppressed, because it makes you uncomfortable, and that discomfort will force you to have to make a choice. Yeah. And that is the issue. Like, you bringing it to, doesn't mean it's fake. It means that they now have to address it. They don't want to see it. They don't want to talk about, you know, the detention centers. They don't want to talk about Aunt Jemima. They don't want to talk about, they just want to enjoy their pancakes.
Can we leave Aunt Jemima out of this, please? Can we not? Can we not? And listen, I know that this is gonna sound completely, because my son has his opinion. He's like, but Aunt Jemima is the only one who knows how to do this. And I'm like, exactly. Why are you changing the syrup? Why are you changing the name of the syrup?
Because you're under the impression, new generation is under the impression that Aunt Jemima made the syrup. She had nothing, she wasn't involved in this whole other conversation, but she wasn't involved in the syrup. It wasn't like her secret recipe. It wasn't like, it's not like she came out with a lip kit. Like, you're acting like we gave her an endorsement deal. That's not what happened. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if it was new generation, it'd be a different story. It'd be like, oh my God, girl, I love your syrup. We're gonna give you a deal. That's not what happened. It's not her syrup. Anyway.
Oh my God. But and poor Uncle Ben. I mean, that along with Uncle, I mean, it is just, I think my hope, if anything, and we you know, bringing light to these issues and to this topic can lighten up the mood when you go into these conversations, because the conversations need to happen, but even more so than the conversations, people pick up a book. Let's get some reading done. Really, if you're going to debate your history, know your history, because I know my heritage and my culture because I studied it, and then I took it upon myself to go back and relearn it as an adult, right? And to see those issues and those topics from an adult perspective, how that it impacted my family, how it impacted my kids. My son was asked at one point in school to dress like Christopher Columbus for Columbus Day. And initially I had an issue with it because I was like, we all know what Christopher Columbus represented. However, he said to me, Mom, no, let me do it. And let me just tell the true story. And he went in there and spoke as the oppressor that he was, right? The teacher wanted to go home and eat some brownies that day and just like curl up in a blanket, and she was like, nice. But I was incredibly proud of my 10-year-old son who knows where he came from, right? So to the point, know what you're talking about,
right?
No, before you post it, right? And then be willing to have the humility to be held accountable for whatever that may be, what you wrote, what you did. Because if there's anything that I am most proud of in my own life, is my ability to be vulnerable and say, you know what, I messed up. I'm sorry. Let me go fix that. Let's go back and address that. We probably should, you know, and that in the end is what I hope will move us to a more common ground.
I think that that's what everyone is asking for. And I think that there's a surprise when there is motion in that direction, to say you're sorry or to recognize it. There's still a stigma in the sorry. You don't really mean it, or it's too late in the space. But we're all moving forward to get to move forward, right? So we're all really asking and creating a movement in order to move forward. So we have to take the small steps. Yes, are they enough? No. Are we where we want to be? No. But we sure as hell are not where we were. So I need to be able to ensure that we're taking the continued small steps, as small as they may be, and continue showing up. So I know based on this that I have to use my voice in a powerful way, in a respectful way that not only serves me, my community, my family, and really aligns me with what I believe. And I think, you know, I'm fortunate to have a platform to make that happen. So I'm excited about that. But for those out there, just realize that you are at the mall, you are on the street, you are out there in the world when you're on these platforms, and you must be responsible with your voice, or be prepared for the consequences that are there. And you're talking about cancel culture. That's really where we're at, right?
Well, and the thing is, I've said it to the girls, at any given time, know that there's somebody with a phone in the background, filming, watching. And if that needs to be your trigger to remind you to be a decent human being, then so be it. But that's where we're at. And really, and also to the point of what you were saying, at every single moment in time, we have the choice to act in a way that is productive or that is unproductive, that is positive or that is negative. And we need to just continue to hold ourselves accountable to that and know that everything that you're doing, every small little step is going to move us closer to what you said. I think we all want to be in a common ground and live at peace and commune and break bread with each other. But if we're not taking the time to listen and be right, only to be right, then it's not going to it's
and
just
recognize,
we're going to continue to be in this brawl, because it's a brawl.
It is. And I loved what you said about welcoming the conversation. As communicators, I want to talk to you. I 100%. Want to sit down. Like, I'm probably the only one who wants to sit down with every Karen and talk it out. Like, I want to talk it out. Like, where are you coming from? Are you okay? How can I help you? I'm concerned for you. Why are you so angry? What happened to you? Like, what is the situation that is making you so irate?
To clarify, we're not calling or saying that every person named Karen is Karen.
I did a TikTok about. I got Karens that I love. I got Nancy.
But we gotta make sure that people know that we're not saying that the Karens are Karens. Karen is a behavior, and it is. That's what.
I'm not even completely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's what our media folks have used to categorize a group of people, which also becomes dangerous. It also becomes a scenario where you lump this group of people in to one group. You know what I mean? I'm sure there are women out there that have had an opinion that was justified that will now be coined as Karens, when ultimately that is not fair. I think that's what I'm saying about let's have a conversation. I might not agree with you at the end of it, beginning of it, or during it.
But I don't have to either. And that's the thing. I don't have to. Don't try to change my mind. Don't try to push and project your belief system, your thoughts. However, do be nice. Do be kind. Be respectful. Be respectful. And
but
I'm not gonna say, and don't be an a-hole, but don't be an a-hole.
There was control there, love. I appreciate that. But I think that
keeping it clean for Facebook.
I think that the issue is that we go into these conversations trying to change minds as opposed to trying to be understood.
Correct.
If you go into it just trying to change, like, you gotta believe what I believe, nothing's gonna happen. I want you to hear me. I want you to see me. When they hear you and when they see you, very seldom can they ignore you. Yeah. Once you are in a space where you are banging down their neck, being like, believe, 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 you are behind the comfort of your phone and your Twitter and all of that scenarios, putting out all of that nonsense. You are not trying to be understood. You are just trying to win. And that there's no productivity in that. There's zero.
What? And
I'm keeping time. 30-minute mark.
Okay.
I love it.
I'm surprised we made it to only 30
minutes.
Right. I told you. Right. When we first started this, the goal was to do 3 topics each. I was like,
Listen, if I don't do this and say 30-minute mark, it'll be tomorrow and we'll still be talking about this.
And you're like, let me get
this
a snack.
This is why I'm here.
Right back. I gotta go to the bathroom.
So as we've been cut off abruptly from our 30-minute mark for our show.
Look, if I don't jump in, it's not gonna happen.
It's not
gonna happen.
The pedal though. That is very effective.
Yes, because I see it. I can't miss it. And with that, we will leave it at, what's your last take?
My last thing is just, understand the consequences of what it is that you were saying and the words. Proofread what it is that before you hit post, give it another look. Think about how that's going to affect you and those around you, and if you will be better for it. If you are really going to be better for what you're putting out into the world, and if in fact you are, post away. I'd rather see you than not. So,
but be ready for what that can bring into your life, good or bad. So we can agree on that. And with that, we will see you at our next In the Loop. And we
so many more topics.
So many more.
Apparently one an episode. Apparently one an episode.
We're gonna keep it to one. Until next time.
Until next time.